Hello and welcome. My audio should be transmitting. Everyone should be hearing me. For the love of God, I hope so. Please, someone in chat, because I got no faith
Yeah.
after the last one. So, someone in chat, please confirm after this 5-second delay if I've spoken. This is not the greatest intro, and the season 3 is starting off on the wrong foot. But we're here.
At all time.
Oh, thank God. We're here. It's season 3. I just had to confirm with the audience, and thank you so much. So we're here with season 3, right after the end of season 2 of VRML. I've got Andy W with me. Shut up, Supreme. Shut up. I've got Andy with me. I've got Franz with me, and I've got Sports with me. And everyone's here, and everyone can be heard. And I'm gonna pass it off to Andy. Tell me, just say something, and just take this away from me.
All right. We kind of had some discussion before we were talking about it, but we've got Mr. Iblowatsports here, the dad of Seal League, and you can give us some information. You know what some players are expecting coming up, some information about it.
So we're finally getting close to kicking off with games. That starts this Sunday. Is the first set of matches will go out. People are gonna have a few days to schedule them this time. We're not gonna load up an entire season worth of games in 2 days on a weekend. And yeah, we're gonna continue that for a couple weeks or 3 weeks actually. Do a couple matches a week. Hopefully the captain's watching this will actually listen to that and not DM me later how this is gonna work. And yeah, it's gonna be a hell of a time. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We already, it's already looking good. I'm excited for it to kick off. Are any of you guys in it? Now that I look at it, I don't think any of you guys are.
I couldn't make it. My Rift S headset is still in purgatory at California.
That'll do it.
Going through the RMA process, which I just yelled at him about it today because it's been officially a month since I've
you
had
don't want
my
to play
headset.
Echo on your Quest 2?
You got Quest 2,
Pro?
yeah.
Hey,
exactly.
Now I've got
Go
the
for
Quest
it.
2. Yeah. So that's what I've been playing on. But how many people signed or got through the draft this?
A lot.
So 108 109 got drafted because somebody drafted 5 people, which wasn't supposed to happen, but that's it is what it is. We got through the draft without any huge issues. So 109 in total, which is
that's
pretty nuts for a community-driven league just out of Discord. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's kind of taking the place of where Pizza League was too.
That's pretty much
no.
So I was
Pizza
never
League.
around for
Pizza League.
Yeah.
Don't you talk about Pizza League. Pizza League was how we got started. That's how we ended up approaching VRML. Pizza League has the most special place in my heart. I was such an awful caster when we were doing Pizza League too. It was like Palador. Palador has always been skillful. He worked very hard to get where he is. And then it was me, and I'd be like, going for the goal. I can't even remember. It was just so bad. But Pizza League was how we eventually got to VRML. Seal's its own thing. Seal is in the world of its own. It created something during the hiatus between season 1, and it really is. It was the logistics. We didn't have to deal with so many logistics in Pizza League. We didn't give people the option really of choosing. I don't remember how it worked. But Seal
heard it was random teams?
Yeah, well,
it was random teams that were kind of handpicked by.
There were 2 seasons. There were 2 seasons of Pizza League.
Yeah.
First season was established teams, and then the second season was how can we bring in new players and get them ready for the next level. So it was 2 established players. It was me and Speedy, and I just remember playing with Speedy, and I remember getting upset with Speedy one time because he said something like he was always kind of sarcastic, and I'm dead serious with how I play, and I was like, get out of my head, Speedy, and then I ended up being muted for the second game we played. I had Isolate on my team and someone else. I don't forget who the 4th person was, and we pushed the 4v4 meta. Pizza League was the Pizza League season 2 was the beginning of the 4v4 meta, and I just remember playing in the second game and my microphone was muted, and everyone thought I was malding, and the whole time I'm screaming at people, like, go for the pass, go for the pass. And I'm like wondering why no one's responding to me, and everyone, and we lost the game because I wasn't talking. The whole time I thought I was talking, they just thought I was like, because I'm a passionate player, they just thought I was like mauling at the utmost level, and I muted myself. So I was like mortified. But yeah, Pizza League is something special, and Seal is also something very special in a world of its own.
Yeah, and Pizza League holds a place in my heart.
When did it take place?
God, if
that was
last year, July to August.
Okay, yeah, because I never
was it longer ago then?
Yeah, because I started in preseason. That was my first competitive experience, and I don't think I ever saw anything for Pizza League. I always hear about it.
Yeah, it's before preseason, and because that was like my big breakout. I remember because like that's where I got like maybe like 1 or 2 weekends, maybe 3 in ESL, and then there's that huge gap, and then they're like, oh, here 4v4, and I basically ended up getting to play for almost 2 teams because I was constantly subbing out for Dark Speed, which I don't know if you know him, Sports, but
no.
he was known for having some great internet, and I replaced him more than one game, and I actually did get the reward for first place. I subbed on their team so much. But that gave me like a lot of spotlight and then entry into like that 4v4, which was awesome. So it's kind of like taking that place, which is going to be cool to see like how players end up kind of take that opportunity and kind of maybe get their name out there and start advancing using Seal now.
Yeah, that's kind of part of the reason why that's one of the reasons we started Seal, is that like as of now with Pizza League not happening for I don't know exactly what reasons, there wasn't really get into comp. Like for me, I was lucky that Spaghetti started up before preseason, and for whatever reason, I ended up on that team at the beginning. But other than that, like I had no idea how to get into competitive stuff. I had no idea how to like just start playing in it. So that's kind of the idea, especially with the new flood of players that we have. It's a good way to start getting new people in, get their name out there.
Yeah, Meatball are a big fan of you. Saying so in chat.
Oh shit. Sports.
So, yeah, but Pizza League was. It's because eventually there was a discussion at like Oculus Connect, the one that happened. I forgot the number of it, but it was the one that actually happened, and people were there. And there was this. This was when Oculus was like moving past ESL, and they're like the community, like a few heads of the community. They're like, well, what are we gonna do? And then they met the people from VRML. They had a discussion of VRML, and then that became, that eventually became VRML preseason.
Yeah.
And the preseason was like, hey, can we actually do this? And then we were like, okay, we can fucking do this. So let's go to season 1. And now we're at season 2, and now we're at season 3. So.
And it's massive now.
Yeah,
it's massive.
It's absolutely, it's huge.
Yeah, we started off basically begging to get like 20 viewers on those streams, and like I think I said in like one of the pre-shows where we were kind of just talking, where now it's like, oh, I'll just like check in at halftime and I'll see we're at like 110. Just it's so cool to see how much we grew as a community, and then how many new players you get every single match you pub in now. Like you really don't get the same people over and over again like you used to.
Absolutely not. And it's, sometimes like people are like, oh, I kind of miss the old days where it was the same old people. But I mean, I'm still nostalgic of it. I'm still nostalgic of getting the same people and having like that like you could have that conversation that gets cut off by like transitioning to lobby, and then you get back in the same game, and you're like, oh, hey, let's continue this conversation.
Yeah, and then you get back to the same lobby again, and you continue again, right?
Yeah.
You're guaranteed to meet the same people again for the rest of the night. Well, you were, I should say.
Oh, so much fun it used
to
be.
Days.
But all right, so let's go to the second question. We already talked about Seal, and then we kind of transitioned into Pizza League. And I know Sports wasn't too ecstatic about talking about Seal because he's just I've already sent you the schedule. I've already done this. And he's been working his ass off. And planning is it's fun for like no, it's never fun. Planning is never fun. Planning is never fun. Never fun.
So, I have a newfound respect for the VRML, like all the people that are running it, because Seal is tiny in comparison, and just the amount of stuff that you have to do for that is crazy.
So file a ticket, send a ticket, whatever the tickets are. No, but it's good to see that. It's good to see like Seal getting bigger, and then after the next hiatus, seasonal hiatus, it's gonna be even bigger, and then you're gonna have a monster on your hands if it's not already a monster.
Yeah.
But a monster in a good way. So.
Yeah, exactly.
That's Seal, and we can. That's your recent efforts, and talking about recent efforts, Franz has been doing a lot of work on the Ignite bot. Tell us a little bit about the Ignite bot.
Yeah, so it's publicly released now. It used to be just a thing that we had a long time ago. VTS and FAR started this. I guess VTS was the first instigator of creating the bot. But it was like a website where he put up the stats for public matches. And we wanted to or he wanted to, look at what kind of different player strategies were and that kind of stuff, right? With whether this is more offensive player, defensive player, that kind of thing, and have a database of that. It's definitely transformed past that point now. The website, first of all, the website got a lot larger, right? Putting a lot more different detailed stats on there, which I think that is useful to people. I don't know. It's been used in Seal already for the draft, I guess. Not really necessarily. I think most of it's actually coming from people's knowledge of other people, but it's nice to have something to look at for what kind of a reference, basically base reference for what people's stats are.
Yeah.
But now it's publicly released, so the same bot that's being used to create those stats on the public matches, you can download Ignite VRGG/Ignite bot and run it on your computer. It works on Quest in the way that you can run it on your Windows computer and put in your Quest's IP, and enable the stats in the settings on Quest, and then you can get it there.
I've got some videos. I'm trying to find them. So,
yeah.
So keep going, because unless you want to screen share and do a little bit of demo with them.
Yeah, I could do that too. I'll open up a spectator real quick. Let's see. This is live demos. It always works.
Yeah.
With my success, everything works.
Everything works. All right. Nothing ever works. Everything. All right. Let's switch over to this real quick. Desktop. All right.
I agree with that.
You only see the background right now, right?
Oh, what's up?
Showing them.
Fantastic.
What's up? It's a stream within a stream.
Streamception.
Oh, there's more.
Now you should see.
Yeah.
Bot, right? All right, cool. Well, it's just between goals here, and then it's got a window here that pops up. What you can do actually. One use case is you go into settings, turn on start minimized, and start with Windows, and it just runs in the background in your taskbar, and you never have to deal with it, and it just records their matches. So you could set it up to record replays and not even upload anything at all, and just records replay files that you can then look back at in the replay viewer, which is another thing that both of us have worked on. And then do your own analysis of the game. But otherwise, it's got events that are detected. So if somebody throws, you can see the speed that they're throwing at and which hand they threw it, and that kind of stuff. There's stuff like overlays that you might want to use for a stream, right? You can make it green so that you can chroma key it out. I don't know, stuff that might be interesting. If you have suggestions of other stuff that's interesting, send them in, because we're always looking for new things to add to it.
What about What about that play space abuse detector?
So there's issues with the play space abuse detector. Greg was one of the first to really do it. And that's really the only method I know of to do it for people that aren't yourself. So recently they RAD added to the API your actual play space position, which is the real play space position, but only for you locally, because it doesn't send that information over for other people. But the way to detect it for other people is kind of weird. So it sends position, obviously, of the players over time. It also sends their reported velocity, which, if they move in their play space, isn't the same. Right? If you just say, okay, so they were in this position on this frame, and then the next frame, which is this many milliseconds away from it, they're in this position. what's the velocity calculated from that, and compare that to their reported velocity. If it doesn't match, that means they moved in their play space. Because if you're just sitting still in the game and you walk, your velocity is always reported at 0. And so you can use that discrepancy to determine some play space abuse. Problem is, ping makes it so that that's not very reliable.
Okay, so now show us the source code.
It's not open source right now. Part of the reason is because it's uploading to one of our databases, right? And then we've got just problems with putting API keys in there and stuff. That could be solved. Like, it's just work at this point. But also we're doing stuff like working with leagues like Vermal and with Seal. So we want to I don't know. I would be open to making it open source, but we want to protect our options in the future for using this for those kinds of situations. For public, we're not going to like charge for anything like that for public use. But
well, I think
that's why it's not open source yet.
Well, I think QL is definitely.
I bet QL was the one who asked.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, good question coming from Caesar is, if I can find it, if you. Oh, Caesar, repeat that.
I think he was asking if it follows you.
Well, this is on your computer, so yes, you run it on your computer. It'll always be in your match. It's not actually a player. This is just a program reading the API data from your game. It's not like the stream spot, which is like a player that auto-takes your games, which is running this bot on its computer, right? So it's doing the same thing that you would be doing. For the Quest, you're running on your computer, but since it's pulling data directly from your Quest through the network, like on your local network, not through the internet, not like by another player joining the game.
And to quote QL Young, no excuses. Ignite must be free. That's the only thing you're gonna get from me. But going forward, Little Guipo was talking about. He wanted to know about it on Quest.
Yeah, so in the settings, how to actually enable that is in the settings. You just put in the IP address of your Quest. You can go. I think you can go in your Quest and go to the Wi-Fi settings and see what your local IP address is, and you can put that in.
Yeah, it tells you in there.
Enable it. Yeah. Another thing you see here that was added right before last stream. So I guess that was Wednesday. Wednesday night, I added this or released the version that has Discord rich presence as well as text-to-speech settings. So it'll show you like the time left in the match and the current score and whether you're in the lobby or in a private match or in public match, if you choose to enable that, of course. And you're running the bot, which is kind of nice. It's like, yes, there are other people who have done this rich presence for Echo, but doing it in a way that like it's in a program that you might already be running for other purposes is kind of nice. And the text-to-speech settings, I'm pretty like every time you open it, it tells you this is text-to-speech, whatever. You probably didn't hear that. It's just me. But this is kind of nice that for like practice, it tells you your joust time like in text-to-speech, so you don't have to look at your screen to see these things. It has like joust speed, maximum boost speed. So if you boost greater than 20 meters per second and then you go back down again, like it'll tell you what your maximum speed was in that boost, just to practice.
So how do I activate the speed hacks?
The speed hacks were removed in a previous version. If you go to the download archive,
I mean,
this curve is somewhere in the settings. You just gotta enable it.
Oh,
it's one of those checkboxes.
Curving. David said that he was the master of curving, and he's going to remain the master because they removed it and no one else can do it.
So I have one memory of disc curving. I joined the game like 3 or 4 weeks after it was released, out of beta, I guess. And so I remember I think there were devs at the time that did it, but they were like they enabled curving for themselves, but nobody else. I don't remember how it worked because that was a little bit before my time then, but I remember them like shooting on me and me feeling like, what's going on? Because I didn't understand the game at the time. I felt like I didn't understand what the game even was until like level 45 or so. I think people these days are like learning so much quicker because of the community that's built around it and all the like, the videos, Vermal, all these things allow people to get into the game properly, like really understand the game much quicker than they did before, which is great.
Yeah.
Right.
Which a lot of that comes down to just straight up the content that gets put out now from everybody and from you guys from Ignite, and then like VTS King constantly streaming, and he's probably one of the bigger helps that I know he plays with a ton of people and gives a ton of access to you guys, or like to just teach people and kind of accept that and take people in. And then it is kind of crazy to see the pure growth in the speed, because a lot of people were just kind of watching the questies as they came in, or just like, how are these kids getting good so fast? Like, this probably would have taken 6 months to get to this distance before, but since they just have constant people coaching them or helping them, or videos and so on, and tools like this is really what helps people like the most.
I think Little Group was saying Bucci Boy deserves a huge shout out. He coaches a lot of newer players all the time. Well, he just got one, and I think we've all coached new players at one time. Like, I've taken a few players under my wing. I think I taught. Oh man, what was that goalie back in the day? We've all had a few players. Oh my god, I forgot his name. But I think the last person I really took a liking to and taught was Death Creeps, and he's back. Good to see him back. But yeah, talk about players. Like, I know we didn't discuss this topic, but does anyone have any like players that they remember that they taught? I mean, I played a lot with Andy. I never like took you under my wing, but I think Vanquish has a video from a Twitch video, a Insta video of when you were dunking it, and I thought it was Andy. I thought it was your brother Zach who did it, but it was actually you. No, but yeah. Could anybody expand upon that?
I didn't really have specific people. I remember being taught by a lot of people. So this was back in old lobby. I felt it was really nice. Like, everybody was friendly. I'm like, this is not an online game that I'm used to.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
People are so nice. Everybody's like, okay, so I didn't know how to do a thing, or I did something wrong in the game, right? Like, I don't know, threw it the wrong direction or something, like really early on. People are like explaining stuff to me. I'm like, what is this? This is one of the things that like has changed, right? Not necessarily for the better, but that's just what comes with the larger population.
Yeah.
But that also means it's a little bit less personal, right? You don't meet the same people over and over again, like we said earlier. But it's still great to have all the new people.
I remember when Andy was starting out and he played Pizza League Season 2, and he tried to like do a spinning dunk on me from above goal, and I just like Do you remember that, Andy? Do you remember me just snatching it out of your hand? Back when I was...
I think there were a few of those.
I was back still in my prime.
My biggest memory was playing you on an ESL weekend. I forgot, what was your team that you were on?
I played with Ignite, and then I played with Mad
towards
and
like
Suburban,
the very end.
And I played with Mad and Suburban. Her name was SMS.
Because I remember playing you guys, and you just absolutely pounded us in. Like, we were the nail and you guys were the hammer, and we were just kind of like, ah, shit. And you just like come up to me after the game. You're like, hey man, it's gonna take time. Like, this is gonna happen. And like that was like probably like my first like actual. I mean, that was probably my first weekend playing, and then just hearing some more comments from other players, just being like, keep on going. And then of course we got put up against Synapse, I think, like the first game, and Zach hit a headbutt goal on me as I was in goal. So that solidified that weekend for me of, I need to get better.
Yeah, that'll light a fire under your ass.
Thanks, bro.
Like nothing else.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm still trying to think though, like if there's any players that I took under my wing, because I mean I've gone around and just like give people like a ton of tips, or like how to help, or how to throw faster, how to boost faster. Because I'll see like some people boosting with like a huge arm range, and I'm just like, no, like keep it closer and stuff like that. But community has definitely like gotten bigger. Like, I know some people get discouraged. Like, you see it on the Reddit sometimes where people are like, oh, all this game is just toxic kids and stuff. But as soon as you break away from that, or if you get a friend group going and like just queue up with people and you get away from it, it's exponentially better.
Yeah, it's not like those people, those friendly people left, right? They're still here. It's just that there's a lot of other people mixed in between. You just got to find them again.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You got to not let the one person who's yelling, screaming in the lobby, scare you away from all the other people who aren't screaming in the lobby.
And there's a limited few who, I mean, it's not limited to a few people, but there's a limited few who are just like almost known by name who just make your life hell the second they join your game. And like that's just, which definitely sticks out to you. Like it's hard to see through that sometimes because some of those people can just be so brutal.
Yeah, that poor kid that shares the name with the different ending.
Yeah. It's funny how we don't have to say the name, and everyone knows what we're
everybody
talking about.
knows him.
Two people that need a rebrand. We talk about two people that need a rebrand. Iblowatsports and Galactic. Well, like we can say Galactic Rift. Everyone can deduce the other person.
Yeah,
but
I saw him in the poor kid in Discord. I saw him, and I just assumed it was him. And every time he'd send a message, I'm like, "Oh, I hate you. Like, you're a bastard." And then I found out that it wasn't him. I'm like, oh man, like I never said anything to him, but every time I would like stare daggers through him whenever I saw that name up there. I'm like, oh, this guy, God.
I think he did something dumb once in a pub, and I thought it was him, and I just like kind of gave him like a little jab, and then I heard it was a kid, and I went, "Oh,
wait a minute,
change your name to like Stellar Rift, or like Oceanic Rift,
literally
or
anything
like,
else,
or just Rift." Like you gotta get rid of that initial term.
Hey, he's in the chat, so
I know he's been talking
every time.
I remember when I first saw him in Echo Sports. Now we're gonna talk about unfortunate names. And I was like, "Are you this guy?" And he was like, "No, I'm not that guy. Who is this guy?" Like this, and he's like, "Is this why everyone's been treating me like this?" So how about now we can go past unfortunate names, but we demoed well, no, Franz demoed his work with the Nightbot. So I got a little video of Mr. Sports and his little, or his big spatial.
Yeah.
Describe it.
It's basically taking the stuff that, or the plugin that QL made and making it so that you can have spatial audio in Mumble, but you can set a position for a bunch of speakers. So I did that with 6 different speakers, and it plays music, and it sounds like you're in a stadium. It's kind of a weird project, but it's really cool when you're like warming up or playing and having it sound like you're in an actual stadium listening to music.
I got the video right here. Actually, let me relaunch it. So, what how did this idea come to you?
I don't know where the idea to do it in Mumble came from, but I'm a huge sports fan. I go to like Pat's game, like we have Pat's season tickets, and obviously this year it's not exactly going to the stadium, but like there's kind of that, like you get hyped when you're at a stadium, you get to hear all the music and it's blasting, everyone's getting nuts. So I was like, well, what if I could have that in Echo? And then I thought about it. I'm like, well, I have this thing where you can set the position of audio compared to Echo Arena. So why not just, make music come from 6 different places and add echo to it to make it sound like a stadium? And it actually worked. I actually can't believe it did. I didn't think it would actually be that simple, but it kind of worked.
So I made a video. Well, I made a video of your video that that it kind of explains it, and we're gonna cut to the partial screen, and I'll show it. And I hope to God this works. I have no faith in anything I do right now, so we're cutting to it. Oh, thank God! And it seems to be working. So let me just lower the volume just a little bit, and so you can see from the video that you see the speaker placement. And then I have a little thing that shows the left and right channel. It kind of gives you an idea but with how everything's encoded through Twitch and through this through OBS, you kind of lose, not only on top of the recording doesn't have much spatialization. And then so you'll have to really kind of imagine it and use the left and right channel. And maybe we should have used the journey track.
Yeah.
So, like, where are the speakers placed by?
So, like that image that was loaded at the beginning. So they're all high up, like they're all about 10 meters above where the roof of the arena is, and then there's 6 of them, and they're spaced like at the top left and right in different locations. and each speaker has a different sound profile on it, so that they purposely sound kind of screwed up, because that's how a stadium sounds like. The music kind of sounds like crap, but it's just loud, and you can tell it's in a stadium. So basically, I just added a ton of echo using an app called Voicemeter, where you can edit all sorts of stuff for equalizer settings and add delays to different audio channels and stuff like that. And yeah, so each of them has like kind of a slightly different volume, different EQ, different location, and they're all up top. And yeah, as you can see in the bottom right, that's a general location of where the 6 speakers are inside of the arena up top.
Yeah, well,
where
I
get
this song or
how would you end up like getting this app? Yeah, the song.
I mean, they like it.
Yeah,
they like it.
They're calling it a rave. Swift said, "Oh shit, it's a
people
jam."
are more excited about the song than software.
Well, I told Sports wanted to use Journey,
yeah.
and
I think Don't Stop Believing and slowed it down so when it gets copyright strike.
How do I defeat the algorithm? Just change the tempo by 5%.
Take a slow song and make it slower.
Well, you could have pitched it up. You know, you could have.
Yeah, I tried that, but it sounded like chipmunks, so it didn't really work.
Don't stop, believe. All right, but
so this the software is literally so QL Young's the software for the Mumble plugin that he made for Echo is freely available. It's up on GitHub. So I looked at that and I took it, and basically normally it looks at the same game API that we use for like IgniteBot to get data. Normally it uses that to get positions. I just replaced it with a static file that just says the bot is always 10 meters above the ceiling. It's always, wherever I decide to put it. And I just did that, made 6 different Mumble instances, all with different locations that are all listening to the same song on I have a whole server running it. That's the people that are asking if it can be publicly available, unless you have a computer that you can dedicate to this thing.
I'm gonna pick up a Dell R710 with 2 6-core. Okay, that's too nerdy. But I mean, what type of server do you need? Like how like can you run this in a VM?
It has to run Windows. That's about it. It's running on an ancient Mac Mini on Windows. So not a whole lot. It just needs to have Windows basically and not be totally crap.
Those are the Mac Minis with like the Intel i7s.
Yeah, this thing, I think I got it in like 2013. So it's a little older.
Yeah, but
it does the job.
Those things are workhorses. So people used to put those in the clusters.
I heard it's going to work on Android soon.
Yes, that is. So now that
I heard there's going to be no roadblocks for that.
Now that I'm playing on Quest 2, because this is like a purely I want this for myself thing. I am going to start trying to port it to Quest 2. And yeah, I might, make it available if it actually works. We'll see if that works. That one, I'm interested to see how that works.
Interesting.
Yes, because Mumble, they have all their code online, but it's some of the worst documented code I think I've ever seen, which is impressive.
I love Mumble too, so that's unfortunate. But did you know that they use the Speaks codec? Okay, that's a really bad joke too. All right, so let's go to the next one. I want to hit on some of my like core topics of sports. And we're gonna go with Mr. Sports. So what type of sports did you play growing up, or did you play sports, or did you did you act, did you do theater, did you dance, did you sing, what did you do?
So I was telling you guys earlier, I didn't like the name is not a joke. Like it does come from reality. So I guess as a backstory, the reason why my name is Iblowatsports is not like that's not unique to Oculus. If you can name a gaming platform, I probably have the name Iblowatsports on it. That's just I have it everywhere. And it came from so I played just about every sport you can name except hockey. And I was horrible to very mediocre at every single one of them. So in high school, I needed to make an Xbox name. And I was like, well, what will people recognize me for? Like, I like, trying to be funny. So I made it Iblowatsports. And would you know, everyone knew who it was when I joined their games. So if that tells you anything.
So, if your name's already something like that, because that's like a Smurf name. That's like a name I would use for Smurfing. My favorite Smurf name is which I can now say publicly because I don't play on it. I don't play anymore because I hurt my eye. Hot Dog Blaster. That's my number one Smurf. Franz not too amused with that.
Wait, what's the backstory?
I was mediocre.
What's the backstory? I think it's just a great name. I'll leave it at that. But eventually we're gonna do a tournament, and not a tournament. We're gonna do some play session. Redshift is gonna conduct some games, and maybe I'll talk about that later on. But I think everyone. So get your Smurfs ready, but make sure no one knows them.
Oh, so QL is asking what sports I played. I played basketball, baseball, lacrosse, swim team, track, football. Am I missing any?
You wrestle?
Yeah, he was mentioning curling.
Curling.
No, I did not do curling.
I think we caught you in a lie then, didn't we?
Yeah, that's true.
Liar.
He did catch me there.
Thank you, QL.
Did you ever do competitive cheerleading?
I did not.
Yeah.
I didn't.
So not.
I guess.
Checkmate.
Yeah,
so not every sport then.
I've been caught. I've been caught in a lie.
I mean, kick him off.
Maybe if he played every sport, then he would have found one he doesn't suck at.
Lacrosse, I was very mediocre at. That was like my high point. I was decent in practice on JV. That's the high point of sports for me. Just not great.
And before we grill him anymore, let's go to Franz. Franz, did you play any sports?
I did a lot of swimming.
Yeah, swimming's great.
I mean, I actually don't know if my records still stand in the state records, I guess, which I had a few. But other than that,
no, you got to tell us more about these records. You're not going to get records. Yeah, I want to hear more about this.
Well, so basically our county was like super good at swimming for some reason. Like out of the whole state, it was just like by far, like really good at swimming. And so we had a really good relay team. And so we got a few state records. That was when I was 12 or whatever. So I never continued. It's too much work. The water was too cold. I always got really cold.
You always have to wake up at 4 in the morning for swim meets too, because they can't just have a normal time.
I was a champion swimmer. I had records, but the water was too cold. I love that. I'm never gonna let you live that down.
It's the main reason actually why I didn't continue. Like I did a little bit in high school, but I didn't continue because it was too cold. Like I get cold in water.
I love this. I love it. So wait, but what type?
But swimming is interesting because it's kind of a 0G sport.
Well,
it's like Echo.
Suburban played Suburban Legend, now known as Burbs. He was a water polo player.
Oh wow, that's hardcore. Yeah, that's tough. Wow.
And he was like, "Well, Echo is water polo." So I mean, you see this comparison between you talk about 0G and you find that type of comparison, and it's very similar. But so you held records in relays?
Yeah, it was. I think I don't know if it was 2 years we got them, but there's of course it's only for that age group. It's only for I think it's also only for the division. So there's Atlanta and the bigger cities in the state weren't in the same division. Which I don't know if they did better or not. I don't know if ours was a better record than theirs, but I'd assume theirs was better. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't like a major record. It was just a semi-local thing.
And Andy played. We always talk about this. Andy played a lot of tennis, and the last time he was on the show, he looked like a '70s tennis player. So I wish I had clips of that. We could go back, but if everyone wants to watch this,
yeah, we need to clip that and go back.
But so everyone, a lot of people played sports, and we see this, that competitive draw to it, and it's good to play Echo. It's good to be competing again. I always felt like I say this every goddamn time. I was a sportsman without a sport, and then I found Echo again. So to all the players who are younger and they're going from sports, it's an easier transition, and maybe that's why everyone's getting better so quickly. You know, they're already in that age. They're already playing sports. So I don't know. Maybe we could do a study eventually.
That's a good point. So like, we made the comment earlier, at least I did, about us getting good a lot slower earlier in the game. But now people are getting good so quickly. Maybe it's because the average age is decreasing, right? Earlier we were just all old people, and so we weren't good at the game because we're just not as quick at learning.
Well,
That's why they say that the 25 years old that's the boomer age for Echo Arena.
well, that's literally like
that's where most of the age lies. It's kind of more north of that.
That's the I mean, it makes sense at 25 because like that's literally that demographic. It's 18 to 25, so they're right there. Who decided on that?
I don't know. That's just what I always heard. And then somebody was telling me that I had like 3 years left or 2 years left, and I was like, "Come, that's not even old." Like, this sucks. I vetoed this.
That's not even old. That's a boomer thing to say, man.
That's true. I'm a boomer at heart. I've been caught. My cards have been
I told the kid once, I was like, you'll be my age before you know it. I heard myself say, I'm like, holy shit, I'm getting old. Like, oh, this isn't good.
I've thought about saying that to someone. I've said a lot of ridiculous shit. But I thought about saying that, and I was like, out of all the things I say, I am not saying this.
Because it's true, but like you say it, you sound like 5 years older the second you say it too.
Back in my day, we used to just throw the disc by snapping her. Okay, I got nothing. All right, but all right. So we got to the sports one. I mean, this conversation has been flowing so well that this is what we could have achieved Wednesday. Wednesday didn't happen.
If only anything ever worked.
Yeah.
You know, I've been working so hard of these past seasons to achieve a stable stream and all these good things, and then things just go wrong. But I said we were gonna have a great one this Friday, and we definitely, I'm having a ton of fun. I know QL Young is having a ton of fun in chat. But so Andy, I segue us to another question while I get this media ready.
Okay. Well, we started going through it last time. We started kind of touching on some of the topic of other headsets, and we never really got around to talking about some of the AR versus VR stuff. And I know Franz has also another demo, even possibly. I'm not sure if it's quite set up again. A little bit. But yeah, it's probably one of it's cooler things, but you can tell kind of how niche of a market it is. But
yeah.
It is pretty interesting though, because seeing some of the demo stuff earlier. But any comments you have to add to that? Like, what are your opinions on AR?
I want to hear other people's opinions on AR first. Like, what is AR to other people in Echo?
I think it's going to be better for productivity. I feel like VR is always going to be the best for like games and experiences like that. Just because when I'm playing a game, like kind of the beauty of VR is that you're in a different place. Like when I'm playing a game, the last thing I want to see is like my living room. Like that's which is kind of how AR works. And the other thing is at least with what we've seen so far, most of the AR like games are like the Minecraft demo, which is like a diorama version of Minecraft, which is cool, but it's kind of like, I don't know, it's the VR version where you can be in the world is kind of a next level type thing.
Yeah, and I really agree with what you're saying though about VR, because if you're playing in a flight simulator, which has been Microsoft Flight Simulator has been like one of the bigger games of this year so far, popularity wise. Like people want to be immersed in that, in the graphics, and like with racing games, they want to be immersed.
So we got an AR demo from Franz. Franz is able to screen share his view from the HoloLens. And
you can't see this window, can you? Okay, because this is my pin, and so not that it would matter.
That's funny that it knows to actually hide that.
I guess this is the like the HoloLens mirroring thing. All right, let's see. Oh, it did find my space. Cool. So you can see I put a cat there and a cactus.
Make a cat cactus.
All right. I'll minimize this. And then like I have Discord over here. Got some Discord. I can scroll through. This is like a simulated view of what it looks like. There's an extra window here. Let's get that over here.
No, I mean fighter pilots are already using AR, aren't they?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
They
There's
have
like the
heads-up
F-35 with
display.
their...
Yeah.
Well,
They're close to getting like further into AR. I mean, as far as I know or public knows that like obviously they have heads-up display, which is pretty close. Like they have the full HUDs and the visors, and they can look around like and see all that stuff and access a lot of stuff, but not like the full like actuation with it.
Yeah, I mean, so heads-up displays are a lot. So the hard part about AR is making like sense of the real world.
So can
I'm gonna switch back here.
you have a program so I can have an AR girlfriend?
AR, yeah. So actually, that kind of thing where you social presence of like seeing other people remotely but in your space is one of the big uses for AR, I think.
Yeah.
That's been a big focus from Microsoft, is like I think what did they call it? Hollow something. Obviously, hollow something. Hollow presence, I think. Where yeah, you basically video call someone, but then you've got like a Kinect that's scanning you, and then it shows you like a cutout view of that 3D model of a person, right, standing in your room in front of you, which is kind of cool. I don't know.
That's really
like,
cool.
This is the problem with all this stuff.
Yeah.
Is right now, it all sucks. like a lot.
How is the screens on there? How, like, I would imagine that's pretty hard to make them bright, since there's the real world behind it.
Yeah, so it's actually pretty. I don't know. So it's like on the Discord on the left, you could see. Like I couldn't see the stuff behind it, barely. Like I can barely see the stuff behind it.
Yeah.
So which is pretty good, right? Because
Yeah.
it's in front, and then if I put it behind, like it doesn't actually change anything because it's not cutting out stuff. But like it's pretty impressive for what I know the technology is. It's just that in the grand scheme of things, it still kind of sucks. We are still a really far away from like this being a thing that people use.
You're
this
kind
is
of like
still
in the
only a
DK2.
research device.
I'm getting real like 80s sci-fi flick vibes right now.
Yeah.
Like
the glasses.
Yeah, it just which I think is cool because I think that aesthetic is cool.
Here,
but I'm pretty sure Zoomers think it's lame, but I think it's cool. So, I mean, you can see like the refraction in the lens.
Yeah.
And that's like
that was pretty cool.
I mean, the field of view is like this much, right? It's still pretty small, which you could see in the passenger view there. Like it looks pretty narrow field of view because it looks pretty zoomed in, but that's all you can see of the screen. Like you can see the real world all the way out to your real periphery. It's just that the stuff that's overlaid only shows up until about there. It's actually a little bit narrower than what they showed on the screen there.
So what about the future?
So it's very noticeable.
So what about
it's just the center of your screen.
So what about the future of augmented contact lenses? Have you ever done any research into that, like AR contact lenses? I mean, because of course, like we're far away from like circuitry so small and all this stuff. But there's been some research, and I have no idea about this. This is very futurism type of stuff. But did you expand upon that?
I've seen a few demos of that, but like it's all still very far away. Like yes, people make demos of them. Sometimes it's all faked. Right. Like a lot of times you're like, oh, we're demoing this technology to build that could be the future, like the size of contact lens, but like they never say that it could be like that it's not actually the size of contact lens, except for in some fine text somewhere. And then when you look at, okay, so they demoed this at CES in some year, but then you look at what the demo actually was, and it was like you look through some pinhole to some projector screen, like that's actually, normal sized out behind it. It's like this is a simulation of what our tech could do in the future.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks they're really close to it. And no one, like, Microsoft has spent a lot of money developing this. And this costs $3,000. People were asking in the chat. This is a research device. I know they had a massive some $1 billion contract with the military as well. So they're trying to train people with it. There's definitely uses for it, and it's not for general consumers. There are uses for it that are actually good, and like will provide benefit to the people that will be $3,000 worth maybe, but not to general consumers. Like, you're not going to want to wear this. I can see the screen, right? But it's like I'm wearing like super light sunglasses. Right, I can see it, but the colors are all a little bit off.
Yeah.
Same thing with the virtual screens. Like if I look at a picture, the colors are just completely washed out and like a little bit off hue and stuff. And there's all sorts of colorations on it. It's not going to replace a monitor.
I mean, everyone wants these.
The text isn't readable,
5 years,
or
10 years at least.
Well, what were you saying, Sports?
Is the text like it? Like one of the things I noticed when I got my Quest 2, like we were talking about, is that the resolution's high enough that if you wanted to use virtual desktop, it's somewhat feasible compared to like when I had a Vive. Is that more Vive than?
Yes, the Quest 2 virtual desktop is much more feasible as a workspace environment. Than a HoloLens.
Yeah.
Part of it, the HoloLens performs horribly. I don't know. For me, I mean, this is the HoloLens 2, right? This is not the original one. And so it has upgraded performance a little bit, I guess, but it's still like opening Discord in Edge here, like scrolling through it. It's just super laggy. I don't know. It can do some things. So the use for it is in industry, and this was almost the same use as what was used with Google Glass. Google Glass was not a failure in the industry at all. Like there are companies still using it now. Because what you do with it is you put your checklist, like you're, up in the corner of your screen of your vision, and you're like, okay, well, I can go through this list, right? And then you can have your hands free, and you just, basically it's like a clipboard, right? That you can refer to. It doesn't. The Google Glass didn't do anything with overlaying things on the real world because it couldn't. It just had a little tiny screen in the corner. But this also doesn't really do that. I mean, it does. This is the point of it, right? It's overlaying. AR is augmented, like putting virtual stuff into a real world, into the real world, right, where it actually overlays. But like it's hard. Computer vision is the problem that needs to be solved the most before AR becomes a thing.
So how long until I become a computer?
So what the thing that's going to happen, what you can do now, and it is better than AR. Basically, what we say in our lab is AR but good is not AR, but it's augmented virtuality. So if you VR headsets is pure virtual reality. You block out the real world entirely. AR is mostly real world, but you put in a few elements of the virtual world. Augmented virtuality is you have a virtual, like a VR headset, and you bring in a few elements of the real world. So what that is usually pass-through headsets. So you have pass-through on your Quest, but like only for an object, right? So you're like, okay, so this like haptic element, this chair, for example, needs to be put into my virtual world so I can see where it is, so I can sit down in it. And so you pull out that object only, and you can see it through a camera view. And so that's what's possible now, and what's good.
Yeah, I actually noticed with I don't know if the original Quest or the Rift S can do this, but I noticed when I set up my Quest 2 in my living room, I didn't move my coffee table like I normally did. And it was in my play space, and the Quest 2 overlaid this like
the height
thing. Oh yeah, like these red things, which I hadn't
that was
seen
added
before.
recently, which is great. Like they should have done that earlier, but they I think they were just concerned about it not being correct, and then people blaming them for like stumbling over stuff.
It was really accurate. I was actually really surprised. Like it looked really cool. I was like, I'm gonna put more furniture in my play space now because I get to see this cool like graphic showing up on there.
Yeah, I did that because I set up the Guardian super wide, and on like my bed it would show like super high like spokes to make sure I wouldn't get near.
Like some lines coming down. It looks really cool. It's really well done.
I prefer the mystery of punching something and then breaking my hand.
Or just breaking the thing that you punched and have the
Yeah. So far, I've only broken my bones and not the other way around. But
anybody else broken monitors? No,
I broken controllers, not monitors yet.
Just controllers.
I think every controller I have has a break in it.
I've broken a CV1 controller and 3 Rift S controllers.
Yep.
I've scuffed the shit out of walls, and there's a picture that was floating around in Beer League for forever about when I gashed my hand doing an overhand into a shelf corner.
Yep.
And Zach has broken a 65-inch TV. So that is like all of the casualties in the household.
I'd rather have the cut.
Yeah.
As bad as that is.
That heals, yeah. Less expensive.
I broke a finger, a hairline fracture, punching my rafters, and I broke I lacerated my finger, but no, I haven't broken anything. Oh, I broke a bottle one time in in a script or like in a mixed, and I remember a sealable bag being like, he's like, I don't know when you're joking and when you're serious, because I'm like, I'm always like loud and ridiculous in games, and I guess that's just the nature of who I am. And like I'm like screaming, and then you hear me go, "Oh shit," and then I just get off. Like you hear like a very quiet, like demur, like "Oh shit." Uh, so like, yeah, that's me handling moments of seriousness.
Echo is free, but it's definitely the most expensive game.
Oh yeah, like ceiling fans. I don't think every person who has a ceiling fan that plays Echo, you just hear that like slam and sometimes like a crash of the light bulb, and you're oh shit.
Even just like the thump, thump, thump. I've heard that before when it's on.
Oh no.
I remember someone broke their hand playing combat.
Oh.
And I remember like you could see them ducking and dodging, and then they're like ah, and they start like moaning in pain. It was awful. And I'm like, I'm like, everyone stop. Are you okay? Are you okay? And we just heard like this moan and like this like whimpering, and then he got off, and it was like awful. It was awful. I laugh about it now. I don't remember who it was, but yeah.
Tying this to the future of VR, like this is not going to improve. People aren't going to just have more space in the future.
Yeah.
Right? There's something's gotta. I don't know what's going to happen about this.
If anything, at the rate, it's getting smaller for like a lot of people.
And it's
like,
not Guardian's fault because like
No,
the
it's
Guardian
not.
system works really well, but it's just like I'm in the game, the disc is over there. I'm getting it. Like
this is the problem that needs to be looked at, I guess, right, by developers of these systems.
Yeah, it's definitely sketchy. Like I have a very small play space, and I also have a solid glass desk. The combination of which scares the hell out of me. So I dread the day where
it's so bad.
Yeah.
I was moving my roommate's glass table, and he like picked it up and he just put it down. Like one of the panels he took off, he had it like down outside. He like just slowly puts it down, and the whole thing just shatters apart in his hand. He's just sitting there like.
Yep. Yeah, you're screwed.
So just hitting that would just scare me. Even being near it, be like.
Yeah, I've hit my PC once, which was as close as I've ever want to get to hitting my desk. That's like I was like, nope, I'm getting off for a bit because that's a trip to the ER I'm not trying to do.
Yeah.
Oh man, how do you? I always enjoy asking, and I think Wolf23 went over this. He's like, how do you explain to a physician that you broke your hand going too hard in a VR game? Like, how do you do that without like, because you already feel bad about it, and you're like, well, how do I tell him I got a hairline fracture? Because like like a boxer's fracture, like it's funny. He talked about his deformed hand. The physician was like, well, your finger's gonna be deformed, and he was like, stop using the word deformed. That was my favorite takeaway from that episode.
I actually asked my eye doctor once because it was when I had my Vive, which you could actually set your IPD on it, and he measured it. So I was like, can you tell me what that is so I can actually set it right on my headset? And he just stared at me, just like, what are you talking about? Because he's like 75 years old. He actually didn't give me the number. He just like ignored me and just walked away. He must have thought I was a complete idiot.
This fucking nerd.
Yeah, exactly. Like you just tell me the number. It just doesn't matter what's for.
Meanwhile, he's like flicking through his mechanical stuff. Like he's like, all right, like. Yeah, but like
the Vario VR2 that we have in the lab actually automatically detects your IPD because it has eye tracking, and so it has motorized lenses. Yeah. It moves the lenses for you. You can you put it on, and you hear and then it moves the lenses to the right position. It's crazy.
Meanwhile, Oculus is just removing IPD altogether. You don't need it.
And now you have a 3-click slider.
Oh, your eyes are uncomfortable? Who the fuck cares? Put it on your head.
Hopefully you're one of those 3, not in between them.
Yeah.
All right. So
I mean, if it means that it doesn't weigh 5 pounds like the Vario VR2, I'm fine with them removing those features.
There's always a trade-off.
So, we talked about everything that everyone's been doing. I've got, I guess we'll quickly show the Lone Echo speedrun record that Franz has.
Sure, yeah.
I don't know how to. Oh, what did I do? Yeah, cut to it.
For what?
This is why I want to show this. I just want people from Echo to play, like from Echo VR, to play Lone Echo in in a speed format. This is from the very beginning of the game. No spoilers. Don't worry.
All right, let's go right to the end. I don't care.
So technically, I can't be promoted.
Yeah, no, because the rest of the people on the leaderboard, except for one, I think, aren't Echo VR players. They're like speedrunners. VR speedrunners maybe, but they don't like this movement system takes like you can still get better at it a year later. So this is something that like once you get better at the movement system, you can do better at the speedrun automatically. And so people playing Echo VR could like there's plenty of extra time to save in the record I have. I just haven't done it too many times.
Let me see. Can I go to the end?
There's a lot of tutorials. You can do it. Yeah, there's just go to the middle, I guess. I think there's probably pretty good. There's a point where it picks up. So there's like the first half where you do a lot of tutorials, and it ends up kind of being the first half of the very end. Okay,
you
sure.
Finish it in roughly 1 hour and You finish it in 1 hour 13 minutes.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know, 1 hour 15 or so.
All right, so everyone should go back and play Lone Echo, or everyone should experience
It is actually an incredible game. Like it is really good.
I mean, the acting, the motion capture, it's amazing. It's one of the best.
And playing through it multiple times, like you get a whole different side of it. So if you liked doing the headbutt glitch in Echo when that was a thing, that's in there, and that's part of the fun. But yeah, as a speedrun, that's kind of the point, right? You want to do those glitches to get faster because that's part of what speedrunning is. But a lot of what speedrunning is finding new routes, right? You want to try to see if you can clip through a wall here, but then you can take a shortcut through the nothing of space because the actual tunnel where you're supposed to go curves around. But you need to find out where the loading zones are and make sure that you get the shortest route. These are the cool routing features that I think make speedrunning really interesting to me. Because the reason I'm interested in it is because of the programming side of things, right? Like finding out how the game works is what speedrunning is. And once you know how, you can defeat it.
How do I break the game to be the game? No, but it's really like it's interesting. You learn about like collision and all these values and stuff in math, and I don't know math, but no, it's really cool. And it's really cool to hold a record nonetheless.
Sure, it's great when basically if anybody watching doesn't hold a record, you just got to find something more obscure to do that no one else has the record in, and now you have a record.
Wii Sports Speedrun. I think that is probably the most obscure one.
Oh, I bet there's a lot of people.
Oh, I don't think it's obscure. I think that would actually be a pretty popular one. Go through like any popular title on anything.
Yeah.
That actually came up. It wasn't a speed run, but it was like the no, it was actually the golf one that came up on my YouTube thing before. It was like 40 minutes. I'm like, I am not watching someone play sports golf for 40 minutes.
No, I've seen like YouTube videos and people speedrunning like Wii Sports Resorts, so it's a thing.
Oh, thank God. Yeah, so go down to the next topic. What should I choose from? I mean, we've been at it. I mean, if you guys want to continue talking, we can. I think the audience is enjoying this. I mean, they're enjoying this compared to last time, 20 minutes off the air.
Stream better than no stream.
Yeah. No, I mean, I knew this was going to be fun, and I'm having a blast. And it's good to have everyone, but you guys want to continue talking, and we can go through some of the other questions?
I'm good.
Sure.
All right, so let's go into.
Oh, I have one thing that I can mention.
Yeah, please.
I have a topic here.
Perfect.
So this I should have mentioned this earlier. This is going back to a previous thing about augmented virtual reality, just because I wanted to show this headset with the this configuration. So this is the Pico Neo, which I showed last time.
Oh, we were talking about this, yeah.
But it's got 2 cameras right in the front, and it's approximately eye spacing, which makes pass-through look really good. And so that's a design consideration when they were designing the headset. That meant that pass-through looks better, right?
Huh.
They can do this because they don't need to track the controllers. They only have 2 cameras. Like the Quest has 4, right? The Rift has 5. but they only have two and only front facing. So the controller tracking you would think would be really bad because it's inside out tracking. But yeah, it has magnetic controllers, which I don't know if I mentioned this last time, did I? About how
I don't think so.
Because
we have been talking about it like privately, and I'm
maybe.
Still mind blown by that.
Yeah,
the controllers look like this. I think they feel nice. Like it's fits well in the hand, but they don't need the tracking ring because it doesn't have any LEDs.
but magnets, how do they work?
I understood that too.
So yeah, I guess it's got extra magnets in the controllers, and it knows, like, it has several sensors within, so you can do triangulation of where they are. The problem with it is that it's a bit laggier, like higher latency than optical tracking. But it also means that you can put it behind your back.
Yeah.
Or like in your pocket, right? And it'll still track.
Mm-hmm.
The distance is about the same as optical tracking on the Quest, at least. Right, a little past your arm length, it starts tracking, but that might be a software limitation, like it is on Quest. Like they could probably track a little farther out, but they're like, okay, well, if it's this far away, you're probably not holding in your arms.
Something's wrong.
So let's something's wrong. Let's not show it.
So I've been working with someone, and they asked me. They just got a bunch of Pico Neos, the 2s. That's the product you have. All right. So they were like, yeah, I got these like 5 Pico Neos, and how do I put echo on them? And I'm just like, like I'm behind my desk, like we're typing, and I'm like shake. I'm like. And I messaged him like, you're just not gonna be able to do that. Like,
I mean, it has a link kind of thing, right, where you can tether it to your desktop and play any old Steam VR thing. So you could do it through Revive. So you could play it on there. It's just that it would be a horrible experience because the controller latency, like if you think that Quest 2 latency is too much, right? Oh boy,
try that.
Yeah.
So like, we talk about like 10 milliseconds. 500 milliseconds.
So like if I move my hand about at this speed back and forth, it would, like, the controller would be about this far behind.
And that's before you get to Revive,
right?
too.
Whereas on the Quest, it's locked on, but there's also a little bit of prediction there, as we were talking about. One of the Discords people were talking about that.
So, I know you got more headsets.
I mean, I showed most of them. Yeah. So this one, I mean, I guess full overview of this one is it's got eye tracking as well, right? With the Tobii eye tracker. Which
turn off the background.
Yeah, I can turn it off.
Does it use it for foveated rendering, or does it not really?
Said they would, like everybody else, when they make eye tracking. And
so this is when Andy and I just sit back and enjoy.
Yeah, we start to soak it in.
I don't know if you can see that.
It's like
it's around the lenses on the sides. On the outsides, there's like a little shiny spot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like camera lenses or something like that?
What it has to do, because it's dark inside, right? Depending on which inside the lens is. They have IR LEDs that illuminate your eyeballs, and also cameras.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Only one camera per eye, I guess. But there's multiple LEDs to like illuminate it all around. I don't think you can see the actual camera views on this headset, but I've used like an add-on eye tracker before. Where you like clip it into an old Vive or something, and you could like see the raw camera feeds, and it was really kind of creepy.
Of your eyeballs?
Like,
that's creepy.
Super cool.
Eyeballs moving around. Oh,
I just need
the Halloween event. That's all you need for Echo. It just shows your eyeballs looking around.
Oh man!
Just add that onto the Echo unit.
That will be some Uncanny Valley stuff if they have that. People side-eyeing you in the lobby.
Yeah. The eye tracker that's most common, that's used, like the one that's actually good. There's a few, but I think the only one that's really worth looking at is the Tobii eye trackers, because they've just done this for a long time already. Like in desktop stuff where you get external eye trackers and stuff, but now they started putting them in the headsets as well. So they have the software necessary to make it work properly. I've used other eye trackers that have just been horrible. Like you got to calibrate it every single time you like raise your eyebrows, because then it moves the headset slightly, right? And so then it's just off.
I
but
can't like
it's pretty good.
You can't like wink at people, yeah. Okay, that's bad.
Yeah,
all right,
you can't as long as you don't raise your eyebrow, right?
Eddie gave me the pity laugh.
Sweaty during the game too.
You really just got to crank the headset to this move on your face.
And
Toby one is pretty good.
Sputnik asking the dad questions.
But it adds like $200 to the cost, I think, in general. So they have a
Jesus.
non-eye tracking version of this exact same headset. And in general, whenever a company makes a headset with eye tracking and without, it's about $200 extra. Wow. I mean, so we're not going to see it in the Quest anytime soon.
What's the base cost for it?
This headset in total, I think, is 600 or 800, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's standalone, isn't it?
Yeah, it's standalone. It's in general pretty good. It's got the battery in the back, so it's like the Elite strap with battery, but like built in. It's a little bit heavier than the Quest, I think, but the counterbalanced weight is really nice.
Yeah.
In general, I don't find it that comfortable, but it's also like designed for industry because they know they're not going to sell any to consumers because there's no apps for it. They have a lot of nice features, like locking the screen to a certain app and these kind of things where you can. As like a kiosk mode or something where the businesses really like those features, where on Quest you have to buy the business version of the Quest, which is $800 or $1,000 or whatever they made it this time, for the same hardware. It's just that it comes with like a license for it. But yeah, I mean it's a not as useful piece of hardware anymore now that Quest 2 is a thing, because it does have higher resolution screens than the Quest 2. Because it's 2160 by 2160, which is pretty high resolution, but like the lenses aren't quite as good, and so it's not actually.
It doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With the sound, and I should just like say what all the headsets I have or the lab has, right? So these are I work in a VR research lab. For the people who don't know, I guess it came in late, or I didn't say last time properly, I guess. I work in a VR research lab at my university, and so I'm a graduate student there, and so that's why I get access to all this cool hardware. And especially since we're working from home now, like I get to take it home, right? So it's really cool. It's a great thing. If you have those opportunities at your university or at your school or something, take them, right? Like get access to this kind of stuff because it's really cool to check out, to know what's out there, and to be able to work with cool technology.
So question coming from Guru Guys. Franz, what's your favorite or your top non-Valve or Oculus, non-consumer headset, like top 4? Or just...
Depends what you want to use it for. So what I was to say in Pico Neo 2 at 1. Kind of. So the one that's most impressive right now to me, it was the Vario VR2 Pro. Which I described yet last time. Sports, you weren't there, I guess.
Yeah.
It's got 4 screens, so it's got one per eye, and then 2 smaller screens in the center of each eye. Like,
I have heard of this. It's like literally physically foveated rendering. Like they just
it's physical. It's physical. Yeah,
it's one way to do it.
And so their claim is that at the center of the screen, right at the center of your field of view, it is equal to human eye resolution. So you couldn't make a high resolution screen and see any more detail. It is crazy. So I tried this out for the people that weren't there last time. I tried this out in Echo just shortly. Like throwing is horrible. I was using the index controllers. Right? People know how bad that is. But just loading in to the lobby, right? There's a wall in the back, all the way across, right past the terminals
with the announcement stuff on
stuff
it.
And Photocon, I don't know whatever's on there. I could read that text from like the back area from the lockers.
Wow,
it's crazy.
I wish they had. I wish they still allowed players to put up their middle finger, so I could be halfway across the arena, and I'm not going to do it on stream. But
or you just end up like my clip that's in the VRML thing of me flipping off Rocker that they have put all over VRML.
Wait,
in the game?
How? No, it used to be in the game. Like you used to be able to like manipulate your fingers to show a middle finger.
Well, yeah, you just put up a fist in your index finger, and then
no, but back in the day, you could
you could actually raise it. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I would do like this, like that, or like that.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if they added, like index controller support, right? Proper cross-platform for Sport Echo. But
I usually give someone a very angry thumbs down.
You just do some Shakespearean stuff.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Anytime someone scores on me, I just sit there and give them a thumbs down for a few minutes. Not salty at all.
Speaking of
the
hands,
Supreme
though,
and click your emote in their face.
Franz.
Speaking of hands, there's a bunch of different hand tracking technologies that are out there, right? Let's do a survey of that, I guess. So there's the Quest stuff, obviously, with hand tracking. Quest stuff, like they added it, but it wasn't built for it. And I'm surprised they didn't build it more for it on Quest 2. I guess they still realized it was like not a priority for people because the exposure isn't like built for it. So what was the thing a long time ago? I don't know when this was first released. I guess somebody could look it up, but the Leap Motion.
Yeah, I remember that.
You probably have heard of it. I don't know. This was meant for desktops.
Did
No,
Leap go
not
under?
at all.
They're still developing VR or AR or whatever that tracking.
Well, originally what they designed this sensor for is you put it like underneath your monitor, kind of right in front of your monitor, and you get to have your hands in front of your monitor, interacting with your desktop in 2D for some reason.
Well, I remember the Kickstarter. Back in the day there was a Kickstarter for it, and it got kickstarted, and now people found new uses for it.
They are definitely a thing. So they got bought by Ultra Haptics, which is a crazy technology. I also got to try out all these opportunities I get at the research lab is awesome. But I got to try it out for a little bit. It's if you look it up, it's crazy. What it is, it's a panel of tiny speakers, a grid of, I don't know, like 30 by 30 or so speakers. And what it does is the speakers all like vibrate in sync so that it creates standing waves in midair above the device. So you put your hand above it and you can feel like the standing waves of the speakers. It feels like you're touching a thing in midair. What it actually feels like is somebody's lightly blowing on your finger, but that's what they claim it. That's what it claims. Yeah. You can really approximate it by like focusing your air with your breath and just blowing on your finger, and that's exactly what it feels like, which is kind of cool, right? It's in midair because you can move that point programmatically by changing what the speakers are outputting. But that's the company that then bought Leap Motion because they obviously needed Leap Motion in their device, but they've just got crazy amount of investors for the technology that I guess no one has tried. At least the people who are investing haven't tried because it's kind of bad. But yeah, I did a project on that one semester and tried to do the best we could with what was available with that. But it was all right. It wasn't great. But yeah, Leap Motion's technology has come a long way. And so they are currently the hand tracking leaders, I would say, in terms of what you can put into other headsets. So this thing, you can, it actually clips out here. I guess you could take the sensor out of this little thing, and this thing goes on your headset. You glue it on, and then you can clip this in afterwards. And then you plug this cable, which is really nice on the Vive because it has a USB port on the headset, or the Index, I guess, same thing. Otherwise, you have to get a super long cable to match your headset cable, which is annoying. But
and if anyone at Oculus is watching, which absolutely no one is, add that USB head whatever.
That's super nice for research purposes, yeah, because we always have devices that we want to stick to headsets, right? Some sort of haptic device.
Nice for other stuff too. Like I added a mod mic, like not the wireless one, to my Rift S.
There you go.
And normally I had a Vive before. I was like, oh, I just plug it into the USB port. And then I was like, nope, I got to run a 10-foot audio extension off of my Rift S just to have a friggin' mic on it.
Why did you?
Technically, with Quest, we're getting back to that domain though, right? You can start to get to plug those things into your Quest.
Well, I got two things to say. So, I'd like to see because I use a Kinect version 1 for body tracking.
Yep.
And I'd like to see that. I'd like to get one of those Leap things. And I'd like to do some, tinkering. I'm not going to write any programs. I'm going to hammer away at someone's code until I could make it work. But I'd like to do that eventually. I did something with one of my stream packages where I did a green screen and then I used the Kinect body tracking skeletal frame. And I thought that was really cool. And then I got hurt. And then I was like, oh, I can't play VR anymore.
Yeah.
So, but then I also have to say, why did you get a wired mod mic?
That's, I was wondering the same thing after I got it. But my initial idea was that like I tend to kind of scream when I'm playing Echo Arena if I can't hear myself. So my idea was that I would mix the audio back into my headphones, which you can do easier if it's wired.
Less
like,
latency.
Yeah, like if you do with Windows, you hear yourself like 10 seconds afterwards, which totally screws with you. So I was gonna have it. I didn't end up doing that though, so it was entirely pointless. All I did was make it harder for myself. I should have gotten the wireless ones, the real answer there.
Unfortunately for these, like it kind of interferes with the Bluetooth on the headphones themselves. So if right now it's not been doing it, but sometimes if my Bluetooth receiver isn't like in line of sight, then if I turn my head, then the magnet, I think is what it is interfering with the Bluetooth reception on the headphones themselves. But otherwise, I like it. Yeah, I got this very recently.
How much do they
Yeah,
cost?
this sounds so much better than the Rift Dust mic. The
wireless mic, I think it's like 120, 130 or so.
Oh, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, you can judge the quality right now.
Yeah, no, it sounds fine. I mean, almost anything is also better than the
Rift something mics. Dedicated.
Instead of getting the robot voice.
Yeah, and having to deal with that crap where you can't even tell, especially with teammate comms in the game, and then they just start going robotic and blasting your comms with static.
Yeah, trying to be helpful, and you just bleed from the ears.
You're just like, shut up.
Yeah, you're better off being quiet.
Shut your face.
So someone asking about me hurting my eyes. Yeah, I won't be playing for like a while, but I have these old glasses that I can't see in. I don't know how people play with glasses. They got to get the spacers or whatnot, and these things are too big. All my glasses are like old man glasses that are like this big. All of my glasses, and yeah. So I need to get like new glasses, but like my eyes are like changing, and go see your ophthalmologist to get your eyes checked if they get really worse all of a sudden, because it'll definitely pay off. But yeah, we talked about all this AR, this VR, and how I wanted an anime girlfriend and HoloLens, and
understandable.
I just want my digital waifu, man. I got all these body pillows. Okay, this is a really bad joke. So how do you manage your time in VR? How do you, because sports, I know that you have a significant other. I don't, thank God, because I have more time. I don't. No disrespect, of course, but how do you manage your time?
Not well, especially in the COVID time frame. I try to not like spend every waking moment that I'm home in VR as much as I would like to be, because especially Echo. When I say VR, honestly, it's Echo. Like I couldn't tell you the last other VR game I played. It was nuts. I try to, I try to limit the amount that I'm on, but I'm very, very poor at it, is what I would say. Especially right now, like being home all the time. Like it's even to the point where my friend who I work with, I convinced him to get a headset, because he wanted to play Echo, and he plays probably more than I do. And we even play like at lunch, like sometimes, like
one of us. I
wasn't sure if he was gonna like it or not, and then like every time I log into Oculus, he actually got drafted into Seal because I was trying. So I purposely saved myself very little money because no one really knows who he is. So I was like, all right, I know who he is. No one else does. So I got him for cheap, and I bid my last $65. And Aeronite, who played with him in Beer League once, and I forgot about that, bid $70. So I didn't get him. I was like, oh wow, okay. Completely forgot about that.
Aeronite, which is who's he talking about? Now we gotta ask who he's talking about.
See, no one's gonna know.
Aeronite.
If it's the one person on Aeronite's team we don't know, right?
Yeah.
Well, Aeronite paid $70, so I mean, you could.
Oh yeah, you could look up that way.
And Fontech, this is definitely alive. This is definitely alive.
Young onion.
Yeah, it hasn't died yet, so definitely live.
Oh,
yeah.
By the grace of. Oh man.
Yeah,
So
I'm pretty bad about managing it. Like I try to not play too much, but it's bad. Like anytime I have free time, it's Echo, which is fun, but yeah, not great.
See, that was the nice thing. I just got out of my relationship when I just started playing, and I just put on like 1,500 hours.
Yeah.
Great relationship.
There you go.
Well, that's like some of these younger kids, like, it's like, how are they getting so good all the time? It's like, well, they play 17 hours a day. That's probably not hurting. They're able to do it, which is great. Like if this was around when I was in high school, I don't even know how many games I would have had.
that's one thing. Like I said, I was like, man, I've always been like, I never wish I was born in a different time, or like, some people are like, I wish I was born in the Renaissance time because I want to be a knight. More than likely, they'd be like a peasant and they'd be like slaving
Yeah.
away.
True.
And but I wish I was born like 10 years later, so that like I could be playing these games and be younger, be like the
Well,
only
I don't
time
know
I've
how
ever
much
wished
you
that.
would appreciate him, right? If you grew up
Yeah.
with him like this, right? The same thing happened earlier, right? With all these,
medieval
earlier PC games or console games.
medieval games would have sucked. That's probably the best comment of this whole stream.
Medieval VR sucked.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it wasn't great. It wasn't too virtual.
Fontech, yes, this is live.
But that's the ultimate old man comment there, isn't that? Like, oh, I wish this was around when I was a kid. That would have been great.
Yeah.
But it's true. Like, I would have loved it.
Sure, yeah.
That's true.
But we did have Modern Warfare 2, so.
Oh,
You
Modern
we
Warfare
had-
2 sucked. The only
No, it didn't.
man,
Well,
Call
now-
of Duty
You were
Modern
just bad at
Warfare.
it.
No, I was good at Modern Warfare. I was good at Call of Duty 4. Call of Duty 2. Call of Duty 4 sucked. It had like tanks and stuff, and it sucked. It was like console only. Call of Duty 2 was where it was at.
Which one was
Call of
that?
Duty 2 was alright.
That
I
was a
played a
World
little
War
bit of
II
it.
one.
That was when they let like people make custom maps, and before they
Yeah.
added like progression
Uh,
and skins.
Player
and they're, like,
hosted like games. Yeah.
So
I mean,
Cruisin definitely doesn't like that opinion. That was back when we could create maps, and it wasn't like
Yeah.
kill 600 people and get the tiger camo.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about toxicity in Echo Arena. Modern Warfare 2 is, I don't know that we will ever reach that
I don't know
height.
if we'll
That was-
ever hit that pinnacle ever
No,
again
that was
of voice
some
chat that sounds
worst.
like you're talking like
Oh.
through like tin or fishing line in like a tin can.
Oh
It's
yeah,
just-
everyone's got that included mic that came in the box. From
Yeah.
The
And
That's
people
had,
are
like,
just
a Coke
screaming
dumped
through
on
that
it.
mini Xbox mic, like little boom mic.
Everyone's playing music through it, like their shitty music is the music that everyone wants to listen to over
I
their terrible mic.
See, I'm glad. Like, I sold my PS2, my GameCube, and my original Xbox to get the PC gaming in like 2005 to play Counter-Strike Source, and I'm so grateful for that because Xbox 360 sucked.
But I bet you missed the PS2 now. Going back to play
Well,
this.
Well, I say that because like, what was the audio quality on like, what was the bit rate on those chats? Like
God.
5, like 6
Yeah.
kilobits a second.
Probably.
That's actually one thing I remember. We were talking about like the brother fighting stuff. That's one thing I just remembered. But I was like, I don't know what age this was, but my parents brought me to Toys R Us. It was my birthday. And they're like, you can get a Game Boy or you can get an N64. And my brother was like, you should get the N64. That'd be awesome. I was like, fuck you. I'm getting the GameCube or the Game Boy. And to this day, I regret it. I'm like, I wish I could go back and play like some of those N64
You
games.
got the Game Boy?
Yeah, just because my brother was like, I want to play that. I was like, nah, fuck you. I'm getting a Game Boy. Which I never did.
Out of spite,
Yeah,
you
just out
deprived
of
yourself of an
That's one of the earliest things I can remember with my brother. Like, or one of my brothers. Like, that's pretty bad.
Fuck
That's
you, this
that's
is
pretty bad stuff.
mine.
I remember nothing describes more like brotherly hate than when we were young. Oh God, we had a GameCube and we would play it in like long car rides because we'd always have this like 8 to 10 hour drive like down to Southern Illinois, and my brother got a Sprite from Wendy's and knocked it over in the car onto the GameCube and killed it.
Oh, no.
Never will forget it. Never end the shit about destroying the GameCube.
Oh.
You broke my GameCube. I will never forgive you.
Never
Did you guys
forget
have the Mad Catz controllers? So I was
And
in the
like-
middle of 3. So I always got the first, like the slightly better of the Mad Catz controllers, the one that didn't have like a soda spilled in it. Even then, it was always like mini for some reason. They painted some stupid color. Oh,
Yeah.
those stupid third-party controllers.
Oh, to answer chat too, that I'm not leaking Zach. This is a younger brother. That is 1 year younger.
This is Josh W.
It is actually Josh W. Yes. And when my younger brother actually wanted to play VR, I'm like, hey, you can't have that name. One of my old teammates actually took it. So, because Zuck had Josh W. when we played ESL together. So
Why?
I don't know.
Half of that I think is true, that name. So you got to figure out which half is true. But did you? Oh, yeah, I guess now we're on siblings, like being spiteful with siblings. I remember I played the NES with my brother, and I think it was the Karate Kid chopstick. You know, you had to get the chopsticks. You had to catch the fly in the chopsticks.
Yeah.
And this was one of the hardest games ever made. This shit was so hard, and I just remember like raging as a kid, like stomping my feet, and like he would just be like, "Yeah, I got it," and just like get them all. But no, I remember. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Nintendo products. Everyone wants the Switch. I don't like mobile gaming. Like, oh yeah, let's talk about
Quest.
mobile gaming. Yeah, but the Quest is now
Quest is mobile
mobile,
gaming.
and I don't have a Quest.
Ah, that's right.
Yeah.
You're not on the bandwagon. It's
No.
Quest 2 here.
The Quest 2 hype train.
So
Yeah. It's been derailed by
before the
throwing
Quest came out, like I was super excited for it and stuff, and I still am, right? Like Quest is the future, but
Yeah.
it was never the future for me.
Yeah.
Like,
They need to make Link better, because then I would
That's how I
be
still feel.
totally okay with it. Because everything else, like, is if they make Link feel like normal, then it doesn't really matter. Like, I don't really. It's
yeah,
basically
it's just one headset. That's all.
but it's useless for Echo Arena. The delay is awful.
Yeah.
So hopefully they make that better. Because the screens and everything, the Quest 2 is pretty nice. So if they can make that part work, and the throwing on standalone too, that would be nice if that worked.
It's back to like when I first switched to Rift S, where I'm like, the screens are so good, but the throwing sucks.
Yeah.
And then now I got used to the Rift S, and I'm like, now the screens are great, but the throwing sucks. I'm back in the same loop onto the Quest now. And it's just
See, when I switched to Rift, so I started this game and made it up to level 50 by playing on Vive with the original controllers on Revive.
God.
So
Wait, I didn't know that.
like, yeah, so when people like talk about like the Rift S tracking's bad, I'm like, you don't know what bad is.
Oh no.
I played several hundred.
You can't
could only
imagine
feel
my
my
pain. My
My
I
pain.
could only throw it like this. Anything else would be 4 meters per second. Like because the controllers in Revive, I would drop the disc randomly. Sometimes I'd randomly grab Geo for no reason. Oh, it was so
God.
bad.
So imagine Vive, right, with all its bad input button stuff,
Yeah. Oh
but
yeah.
with
the
bad
controller's
tracking as
terrible.
well,
Yeah.
and that's Windows Mixed Reality.
Oh.
Its controls are horrible with the buttons and stuff, but also has bad inside out tracking.
Yeah, it's the worst combo.
Yep.
Well, the thing with the Vive controllers is like, you know, the thumb pad that you can click in on it. So on Echo, that maps to the like your wrist thrusters, and that stupid button is pressed by this like rubber disc that's glued to the bottom of that pad. And if you press the button too much, that disc moves, and you can't press the button anymore. And you have to disassemble the entire controller to fix it. I was doing that like twice weekly when I was playing Echo Arena, because that's the button you hit to do the thrusters. So I'd have to like half the time I'd spend my time like taking apart the damn controller to fix it. That's when I was like, I'm just buying a Rift S. Like I'm so
How did
sick
you make it that far? How did
I
you?
don't know how you
Oh.
made it that far.
Yeah, it was relatively the period of time between me joining Spaghetti and me switching off of Vive was only like 2 months. I have no idea how it's because I'm a goalie. I don't throw the disc well anyway, so it doesn't
Hey,
really matter.
Hey,
Okay, maybe that's
hey,
why you're a goalie.
goalies have to have
True.
some of the best throw. Like you got to clear. You got to find their angles for clearing and QBing. You
Oh,
know,
I-
I take offense to that.
I just eat it where I hope someone's not, and half the time it hits someone.
I think they're different strategies. Yeah.
I'm-
Slightly different.
I made it to level 50 still throwing it like a frisbee because no one said, "Hey man, throw it like a baseball." And of course, like I didn't treat the game like a sport. I was just like, "This is a game." And meanwhile, I'm like bouncing around like, "Oh man, this is a game." Like I sucked. I sucked really bad. And then I started treating it like a sport, and then I started playing goalie like hockey, like going into a butterfly to cover the bottom pocket, and then bruising the shit out of my knees. And then I started throwing it like a football, and then I eventually transitioned to a baseball throw. And then I had good.
That was the thing that I was like losing my mind for so long because I would watch everyone else. I'm like, literally no one in this game throws a disc like me. And I would watch them like, how do you throw it overhand and it works? I do it and it goes 5 feet in front of me. And I tried it for so long that I got a Rift S and I could just yeet it. I was like, oh wow, like this explains a lot.
Whenever I see new players, like I'd be the guy going into the practice arena saying, "Throw it like a baseball." I'd be like, "This is how you throw it like a baseball. Throw it like a baseball." Like everyone I see, I'm like, "Throw it like a baseball. Stop doing that. Stop doing that."
Well, until National Agency hit like an 18 or a 19 frisbee flick on me, and I went, "All right, well, I guess I got to stop telling people to do this because it worked for somebody."
Yep.
Well, like he's not even like I know that he's not too popular in the EU because he throws like that.
Yeah.
And Ender got a lot of shit for throwing like that. Ender's still like, I don't know if he uses it as much, but like people always like threw a little bit of heat on that one, and that got nerfed. Yeah, they literally patched it out with new hardware. They just were like, all right, new hardware will solve this, and they released the Rift S. Because I don't know, like, is that like angular momentum? Is that like what is that?
Well, they did the 19 cap, right, with just capping the velocity in general. I think that part of that was that they capped each of the individual parts of it separately, and so they capped angular velocity from your wrist flick. So before, even if it wasn't up to 19, but you could get closer to there by just having a larger wrist flick. Whereas now, if you did the same throw, you would get lower. Mm-hmm. Right? It's not just a plain old 19 cap; it's caps on each part of the velocity.
Oh God. You just gave me all the memories of it being the Wild West of everybody searching for an anchor as fast as possible, anchoring like a 25 off of shield. That's when I started playing Echo Arena. It's when
I'm glad that I wasn't around.
Just like a 25 just straight by my head.
I remember the most like egregious use and abuse of mechanics. I was playing against this player who was in like Western Russia, so he was like he was like in like Moscow or something, and we're playing on an East Coast server. And this is back when the population was low. And he gets on one of the blocks on top. I forgot the name. Shoulder, like the upper blocks around goal.
If only there was a map.
Yeah,
to discover
the only if I remembered things.
That was community contributed.
Yes.
That you could vote on names.
Yeah.
And we'll post a link to that.
For sure.
Or send it to Andy so Andy can post it.
Oh yeah, because he'll probably block you.
He'll probably block you.
Nightbot will block it.
Nightbot's a bastard, but I love him. And the guy took an anchor wrist flick, and he's got like a ping of like 185, and I've got like a ping of 32 or something. And I never seen like this is how I really understood interpolation. When the disc traveled like 500 miles an hour, and then it like went off the backboard. Like I didn't see it. Like I was like, this is awful. I was like, I hate this guy.
Ping advantage.
I hate this guy.
Forever end that.
I will
whenever they add it.
Like I said,
so I wanted to make a maybe like a video explaining this or something, because this is something that I don't think many people know about, like how ping works in general in games. So I wanted to like have some visualizations on how this works, but I guess I can explain it now a bit. But like with anchor shots in the game right now, this is something I discovered when developing the Ignitebot, or with replays especially, is that when somebody throws the disc and they have high ping, especially, if you do it locally, you don't see it at all. But if somebody else, which means that they have ping relative to you, the first few frames of the throw, like as soon as the disc is released, is much higher velocity than whatever the speed is when it ends up, right? When it stabilizes, because of interpolation. So like there's a different interpolation state when the person is holding the disc versus when it's released. Because when it's holding the disc, it's interpolated based on their hand position. So it snaps to their hand.
Mm-hmm.
There was a bug a while ago in the spectator view, or I guess it was, I don't know if it was a bug. It was when first spectator view was very first introduced, and this was during ESL times. And then the spectator view, like people were throwing the disc, but like the disc is just flying around like far away from their hand. It looked like super disconnected because it wasn't locked to the hand, right? And then they fixed this for the spectator view, which was already done for the other views. But it snaps to your hand basically. And then as soon as you let go, it needs to switch interpolation state from being like snapped to your hand to being on the server side, like being through like where it thinks the disc is. And so it needs to accelerate to reach there because that spot is much farther ahead. And so on your screen, which is what the speed is to you, it looks like it's going much faster than 19. So it can go up to like 120.
Because like when I'm in goal, like, and I've said this a bunch of times, and you always look like an idiot when this happens. You're like, oh, that was a fast shot. And you look over at the
and it's like a 17
shield,
or whatever,
like 15. Right? And you're like, no, they're just laggy. And then sometimes an 18 will seem slow because they have good ping.
But on your screen, like, is somebody shooting from shield anchored or something?
Yeah.
And half of that distance could have been at 50 meters per second.
Exactly.
So you have basically no time to react.
Yeah, exactly.
If their ping is high, right? And this is part of what like ping advantage for goalies is going to improve things.
Yes.
But it's not going to solve that. You're still going to have less time to react.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a problem. It's just, I don't know what really can be done about it, but it's something that people, might be nice to know for people, right? Is that yes, it is going faster if they have high ping.
Which makes sense why my slap shots randomly go in more often for some reason, because I'm terrible at shooting every other way. But it's I think it's kind of accelerating a little quicker at the beginning, kind of like that, trying to figure out what it's supposed to snap to.
Yeah, that was well.
Let me
it was
teach
kind
you how
of
to
the
throw.
Yeah.
Let me run a clinic. Have you ever seen my wind up? It's like the greatest thing ever to grace the game. I did. Wait, we did play some scrims. I did play some scrims against you this season.
Oh yeah, actually, yeah, I think we did.
Yeah, that was fun. I played against Cruisin'.
I played with you.
Did you? Oh, you did. And those were
when
fun.
I was on Redshift for the short time. We played together. You hopped in.
Those like if somebody said to me like, "Oh yeah, you don't even play anymore," and I was like, "I play scrims. Like get out of my face. Like I play scrims." Because when I come in to play scrims, I think everyone really enjoys it. I enjoy it. I'm just like glad to be in the scrim and be playing.
We all do. That's why we play them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And no, it was a bunch of fun to playing the scrims. And yeah, I could talk all about that. But I want to bring up something I actually made because we're all into this, and QL Young actually created this. Did you guys ever see the 2D Echo?
Oh yeah,
with the command.
I saw the video of it. I never got to use it. Yeah.
Well, I'll show everyone because QL Young created it, and I was like, "Hey, can I use it?" And he's like, "It's open source. You do whatever you want." And then I slapped my brand all over it. So
makes sense.
So and I also got to use some it was a great way for me to use all my chip tunes. So let me cut to it and self-promote my own work on my own stream. But no, QL Young made this, and I because I grew up let me lower it. I grew up playing Pong. Like that was the first game I played. So, and I always said Echo Arena is the Pong of VR. And of course, the video quality on this compression sucks. You can barely even see the dots. But I thought this was the greatest thing ever, and I don't think I don't think it got enough attention. Of course, it has QL's name there, so I didn't feel so bad about throwing all of the stuff on it, the Redshift stuff. But I set that up, and I streamed that for a few days, but let me cut off of it, and the script I used, because I had Wit actually helped me create a script, because I had the first 24/7 stream, the first 24/7 spectator stream. Credit to me, glorious me, but I had the first 24/7 spectator stream, and then Ignite ended up doing it, and really improved upon it. and his had a lot more stability. I'm pretty sure Franz. I'm pretty sure you wrote the script.
I came in later into the anti stuff. So VTS was doing the stat collecting part of that originally, and then I came in later and improved it all.
Well, this was before the stats.
Yeah, no. Then I was definitely before my time.
Yeah, this was just like, hey, how do we? Because back in the day it wasn't so stable, so it would drop the client from the spectator. So you Wit. I asked Wit because I did some really janky code that was awful, and Wit really came through, and he was like, hey, I created this in Python. Oh no, Sealable made the first one, and so I ran Sealables for a little bit, and then Wit came through because it still had issues with disconnecting, and then Wit came through and made one that checked the time. It asked the API hey, how long is this client out of the match, and then it would say, well, if you put a timer on it, and if the client was out of the match for so long, it would terminate the process of echo vr.ea and then start a new one, and then that really improved the uptime. So credit to both Sealable and Wit.
Because the game crashes a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yep.
Yeah. And I also was running on an i5 20. I was running the stream on an i5 2400 with a GTX 730, GT 730 or GTX 750. I forgot. It was the low, 8 gigs of RAM.
It doesn't need that much, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you also have to encode though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true.
So the encoding was more intensive than
depends if that GT 730 had a proper NVENC encoder or not, I guess.
GT 730 didn't have NVENC. GTX 750 Ti had the NVENC, but I don't remember where I encoded. I remember that I used as much, I maxed out that it was at 90% maximization on the GPU and 90% maximization on the CPU. So it would take in trash repurposed computers, but yeah, I could go on about that. But and then eventually Ignite got one, and then Ignite spawned the whole stat collecting, and it's one idea leads to another idea. Open source projects, the channel QL, so you see the development of these things, and that's one thing I've loved about Echo Arena is that the community, when it was a year or two ago when it was much smaller, everyone inspired everyone else to do something. I got back into network administration and network admin stuff because I was like, well, everyone's a computer programmer, and what the hell am I doing? I'm just playing the game. So and then I eventually got into streaming and then all this other shit. So really you set forth an example, and other people will run with it.
It's a game you love. You want to do something more, right, for it. Than just play it. Sometimes you want to create content about it, or develop programs for it, that kind of stuff. That's why I do all this stuff, right? There was a question you quite asked earlier about time management about playing Echo, and it's very split between me of actually playing it and just working on Ignitebot stuff, or just whatever stat websites and doing stuff for Vermals, over stat overlays and stuff like that, all these kind of things. I love working on that kind of stuff. And so I actually pulled up stats a while ago, and I kind of want to say them so that I don't actually that I didn't do that for nothing. Of kind of the scale of how much time I've spent in developing Ignitebot stuff. So I looked at the lines of code of the different projects that I was working on, which if you know about programming, is not necessarily the best measure of how much work you put into it at all. But just in general sense of scale, the Ignitebot itself has 10,700 lines of code that I've written, at least, and the database side of it is another 4,000 or so. The website, just the processing of the stats on the website side, not the actual HTML and stuff, is another 700. And then stuff for the Echopedia that I've done is another 2,000 for scraping the ESL website and Vermal website and putting it all into one place and stuff like that. So I've spent a lot of time on this because I love it, right? It's because this is what I do in my free time is Echo stuff, whether it's playing or not.
And you did a lot for the replay viewer too, because I kind of go.
I didn't count that at all. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we forgot about the replay viewer.
Tons of different cycles where I don't know if it happens with you, Franz, but there'll be weeks where it's I do a ton of work. For the replay viewer, I made a ton of changes, and then afterwards, it sits for a while and I'm not as involved. And then I'm probably gonna be back into it again. Like it's just kind of like cycles of adding
that's
stuff.
the great
and,
thing about
yeah.
personal projects is you get to
Yeah,
do that.
exactly.
Which is why we actually like doing this. I don't know. When you're programming for your job and stuff, or for your research, for me in my case, whatever, like you need to keep working on it, and even whether you want to work on this particular thing or not, you need to keep working on it. But for personal projects, like, oh, I have a new idea that somebody suggested. Let me spend a night on that, right?
Yeah.
Then you could
like
just
for the replay
out.
viewer, when I got involved, once I found out it even existed, I was like, well, first off, I want to use this for my VRML team. And then I was like, I want controller support for it. I want to be able to do slow-mos. I want to do stuff like that so that I can look at how I missed a save in 7 different ways in slow motion and figure out how bad I am. Like, it's kind of stuff like that. Like, adding stuff because you just want to do it and working on it because you want to do it. It's definitely a different kind of mindset to be working on projects.
And a question in chat too. I mean, what code or like what language are you guys using for this stuff?
That's a good question. How do you get started into doing this stuff for Echo? Because I think Echo is a great way to get started with this, right?
Yeah.
It's data that it's just data. How do we process this data, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of funny. So like, well, for language, for the replay viewer, it's C#, just because it's using Unity. But it's kind of funny because I know I ran into it with Ignite and the replay viewer. I wanted to make my own version of something, and like I had the idea, and then I realized like, oh, someone else has already been doing it. Like I should link up with them and start working with them on it. It's kind of interesting how you'll find out that a lot of people have the same idea, have already been working on it.
There's so many programmers in this community, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's a programmer.
Yeah.
Everyone is a programmer except
everyone's
for me.
a programmer or a pilot.
That's how I
or
feel,
soon
except
to be
for me.
pilot.
That's why I do all this artistic stuff. I'm an artist. I'm not a programmer. I'll make all these graphics and do all these other things, and I don't even know how I do it. I just like throw bricks at a wall until it works. I don't know what hit my head on a brick wall. There we go. Freeze.
Same thing.
And I'll do that with Python too. I studied.
Python is definitely a good start.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a lot of scripts in the API chat. Guipo, I think you're in that chat. I think, right? In the Echo Games, there's a command you can, for other people that might just be lurking. There's a command you can do that I think it's called tech chat, exclamation mark tech chat.
They might have gotten rid of that. That is the domain of QL Young. He is the moderator of that one.
Yeah. But yeah, if you're interested in this kind of stuff, you can get in there. It's not available by default, so there's not enough spam in it. But it's if you're interested in working with API related stuff, it's super simple to get started. There's a lot of example scripts in there that start with Python.
Yeah.
And there's some boilerplate stuff that QL wrote, like that is the proper way to do it. But the real boilerplate for it is 2 lines.
Yeah.
Like to do an infinite loop that gets data from the API and prints it is 2 lines of Python.
Yeah,
that's all you need.
That channel is incredibly valuable. Just don't spam it with frivolous bullshit, or all of us will get pissed. Unless you make something and then you get a little bit of leeway. Like I went to the API Arena chat and I eventually got help to make make my 24/7 spectator bot. I went in there for other stuff. I made a dual computer stream setup because I think it was sports you were participating in that because if you bend the FOV out,
yep,
it was too much, and I could have just ended up changing the resolution, I think, but I was I'm gonna take 2 computers and see if I can synchronize them for the sake of learning how to synchronize and work with Python, and Egret was helping me, and then I was okay, this is the limitation of my knowledge. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, so I got a little bit through that project, and then
having these goals is how you learn, right?
Yeah.
And then recently I took David Duell's overlay. And put it, and I modified that, and I branded it for Redshift for the streams. So I mean,
I see a theme.
I mean, if someone's gonna make something available and free, I'm gonna.
That's what you do. I'm gonna
use it. I'm gonna use it, and then I'm gonna put my brand on it. But no, it's everyone's made these projects. Everyone's working on this project or projects. And that's what's been so great about. That's why I love Echo Arena so much. It's not just the game itself. The game is fantastic, but the community has really inspired me to do just so much so much stuff. And like the reason that I did this podcast is because not only do I enjoy talking to all of you knuckleheads, it's it's fun. It's fun to do. I mean, albeit Wednesday wasn't fun. Wednesday was torture. But you
but we learned things.
We learned but everything like you just keep working. You keep doing things. Don't let failure stop you. That's the main important thing. Don't. Now I'm not saying get accustomed to failure, but don't let failure
or
stop
do that.
you.
Sure, you better at some point.
I mean, I think that's my story. But just keep your first line, like your first program doesn't work. Well, tough shit. Work on this. Like keep working on it. You'll get it to work. Ask someone in API Arena if it relates to Echo, or ask someone because someone will help you. This community is generally good. We want to help, and we'll do it. So just keep working. Like you're young, you want to learn these skills. Ask the questions in API Arena. Don't shitpost. Ask a question.
Yeah.
You'll get genuine help. Then when you make a program, then you can start shitposting just a little bit. But
and for like failure stuff, like any programmer who says that they write code that works the first time that they write it is completely full of shit.
Or they tried something way too simple.
Yeah, something
they
something
didn't do anything impressive whatsoever.
Yeah. If it runs perfectly on the first go with no bugs whatsoever, that's a fluke or a lie.
Here's another lie programmers will tell you is that my code is so well written I don't need comments.
And yet it's one that everyone thinks when they're writing
so
code.
readable.
I hate writing comments, but I know that when someone else doesn't write comments, I'm like, why the fuck aren't there comments in here? But then when I have to write comments, I don't do it. I don't want to. People can figure it out.
Who's the best programmer in the Echo community?
In the Echo community,
I would say
there's a lot
QL.
of different types of programming.
It's hard to name one like what's better or best.
Who's my favorite programmer is QL. I'm a little biased.
There's a lot of different types of programming.
Yeah,
QL is a different type of programmer in terms of what things he works with than other people.
Yeah.
It's really.
But I'm sure he has by far a lot of experience.
If I was a better programmer, I'd say myself, but I'm not, so I can't do that. So I gotta get answers from you. Who's your favorite programmer?
I like
from what I see.
I wouldn't pick a programmer, but I'd pick the Ignite group just because of what they've like accomplished, like the amount of stuff that they've done. I think that's the way to, because there's a difference between complex like programming and like setting things up. Like I don't think many people know how difficult it is to set up a website and a database, make sure that someone can't hack it, make sure that like that's the stuff that
there's
takes
a lot of moving parts
10 times longer.
Well, we don't have any white hats in the community or black hats in the community that really want to get into that Ignite server.
QL.
I don't. I would. He might take
as far as I see.
I'll just run the low orbit ion
David
cannon.
N. That's a good answer, Guru guy.
I mean, so that maybe besides Echo programmers, I don't know. Though by the amount it crashes, they're probably horrible.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
They didn't even put combat on Quest. Like,
shut up! Don't even bring that up. Don't even bring that up.
I hear it in the Discord that combat on Quest is so easy. All the people say it's easy. I don't know why they just have to copy and paste it. I don't know what the problem is.
I had another kid come up to me today, and he's just like, "Hey, like, do you think combat's going to come to Quest?" And I just go, "No." I said it barely runs on like a 2080. Like, and he's just like. He's like, yeah, but the performance is so much better. Like he just like didn't listen to a single thing I said, and it was just like,
but
yeah,
Quest 2 is better than 2080. Didn't you see that?
Yes, I was part of the. Oh my god, I think I might have been the person.
There was some dude claiming that it was Quest 2 performance was better than 2080.
Oh my
god! In my head, I'm just like, a nuke just went off. I'm like, oh my god, this is not correct. There's a reason why we need triple fan coolers and all this. Otherwise, we would put a Quest 2 as graphics.
The Quest 2 is smaller than your 2080.
I might make some. Where's that BTS meme? Where is that V meme? Oh,
the one with the bumped in head?
No, the one where he It's the blue screen one where it ends with the blue screen. I don't want to I gotta find
Oh,
it.
the combat one.
Yeah, I know we might make enemies here, but I don't care. Where
No,
is
no,
that
the
meme?
thing is, like, yes, they can make combat for Quest. There's a lot of trade-offs they have to consider, right?
And
There's
how many
time
people play on it?
developing.
Yeah.
There's the benefit of how much people would get on it, which I think you would do well. It's just that there's other trade-offs in terms of graphical quality and gameplay even, right? Does it start digging into the gameplay, right? Once you decrease graphics enough or the effects or whatever, you start digging into gameplay at some point.
Yeah.
Well, I hope they don't focus any time on combat because I really want the Echo dating simulator to happen. All right, but...
I know a few people that would be interested.
But
unfortunately, it's all one group. It's always there's not many females that are interested.
Let's not get on this topic, please.
Yeah,
please, for the love of God. So, I mean, we've been at this for 2 hours. I think I'm gonna ask one last question. Andy, do you got a good question? You got anything?
God. I think the only thing I thought of earlier was I was gonna see what your guys' comments were on. I saw a bunch of people talking about the Quest 2 about switching the grip button to the trigger button and trying to get different trigger mapping. I was curious to see what you guys thought, especially since sports has had time on really awkward controllers, and what that would be like.
So for when I played on, I don't know if you guys have used the Vive, but the grip buttons, that's a very light usage of that term. They're god awful. So on that, I switched from the grip buttons to the trigger, which you had to do. I'm holding my controller.
These are super shallow, and you have to press pretty hard.
I do see what people mean. It is a little bit. I could see you kind of getting a hand cramp almost when you're playing on these because you have to pull your finger in so far. I could see it. Although I will say the ergonomics of throwing while also not pressing in your index finger is weird, which I dealt with on my Vive. It's kind of strange. But I could see
I think they should definitely add customizability to the controls.
Yeah,
people have been asking for a long time. They should just do it. That's an accessibility thing, if nothing else.
Does everyone have their controller near them?
Yeah.
Show me how you grip that thing. That's
on the Quest 2?
Oh, so you got the grips.
So this barely works. This is for a Rift S design one.
Yeah, I'm surprised that works at all.
But it look how wonky it is kind of coming out. Yeah. Let's see if I can.
Oh yeah, I was gonna.
It
looks like it's a bit too short, right?
You have defeated the background.
A bit too short, and it kind of just curves off, and then my jank zip tie job. Yeah, let me see if I can.
Actually, you know what? My AMVR one kind of fit on here. Now that I try it, although these are a little janky in general because I cut them down. So maybe, I guess I'm not too surprised.
It really doesn't fit that well, but I found even just having this, it still helped a ton because these controllers are slippery as shit. So.
Yeah, I gotta try that out now. I didn't actually think it would fit.
I like the feel of them. I think it depends on people's hand size, but I like the feel of the new one's better.
And this is why we have discussions so that everyone can learn new ideas and then repurpose their stuff to make more jank stuff. But
I think accessibility is hard in VR, and doing new controller mappings is a big step towards that, and I think that's important.
Okay, so
one of the side projects. Sorry.
No, please continue.
One of the side projects I did
right before.
For Lone Echo was subtitles that you could pin in game.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a log right in game, right, with where we used to get when you send in your logs for Echo, right, for support. In Lone Echo it has that too, and it puts all the dialogue in there. It has all sorts of game events of what level it loaded and all those kind of things, but it puts the dialogue lines in there. And so I just read the lines that were tagged as dialogue and put them up into a little horizontal window that you could pin in your dash, and then it would be subtitles. And so that was somebody from the community. It was like, oh, it'd be nice if we had subtitles in Lone Echo. Yeah. And so I did over a weekend or something.
Yeah, I remember.
Which is open source, by the way.
I remember, people used to come in and be like, "Hey, I don't speak English. Please give me a localized audio." I don't know if they did they do the localized, did they do the subtitles and then localized subtitles, or was it, I don't think they ever did localized audio.
Never audio.
I don't know. For Loneco, they did. They added quite a few languages to Loneco.
Wow, so they got voice actors?
I guess, yeah.
Oh, they didn't use like Microsoft Sam text to speech.
Actually, no, I tried I tried the German one a bit. Yeah, and then it was definitely new voice actors.
Wow.
Oh. That's pretty cool. I want to go back.
It's like 5 or 6 new languages.
I want to go back and play it in a different language because I like voice acting, and I always I want to try that. So, I mean, I can't imagine that they'd be good because I'm like spoiled by
the German was all right. It sounded good.
They didn't do any type of like motion sync with the mouth.
They don't have too much of that already though.
Yeah. Well, no, it was pretty sick. Like the motion capture was really good. Like the facial, I mean, the actor that they got, I forgot her name.
Yeah.
She was fantastic. And then the motion capture was on point. Like it is the best narrative single player experience.
I guess it's just I never looked at the lips that closely because there's only like at the very beginning where you're really close to her, but otherwise you're doing other stuff when she's talking.
No, I would get close and be like just watch it because I like acting and I'm like, okay, this is like really good. It sounds awful, but like I'm not doing anything heinous or nefarious. I'm just sitting there like watching. Like I remember there's like one video that like was presented and like their hands were on the chest and but that's beyond the point. Like
I was definitely on Reddit for a while.
Yeah, like it's like okay, like I'm just sitting there like watching, like okay, this is really cool. Like the actor's good. The facial capture is really good. Sputnik shit with Liv. I don't know about that one, but no, like I can't. And they aged her. Oh, that never mind. But that I don't talk about spoilers.
I think they just took the head thing off. Like in the first game, they have like she has like a suit or something on her head, right? And so in the second one, they just have the hair sticking out, and so it looks different. I don't think it's actually aged.
Well,
no spoilers.
Yeah.
It just looks different, I think.
Thanks for that save. So, we've talked about all of these things. We've been at this for 2 hours now. Real. And, I said this was going to be a good episode, and I don't think I was lying.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, this was a blast. Good. This was fun. And the chat was good. Little Guipo coming through in chat. Guru and Ao, a little bit of his trolling. And some of his sincere comments.
QL coming in with a little bit of both.
Yeah. So get this on Spotify podcasts. Maybe I'll do that. Is that what people do? I don't listen to podcasts. I don't do it. Like that's why I
just don't listen to them on Spotify. I listen to them on YouTube.
Yeah, I listen to them on the Google podcast app. I don't know why it's terrible, but
I was gonna say I've never even heard of that.
It's awful. Like I'll listen to it when I'm going to bed, and it will shut off and reset and lose my progress like halfway through, which is always fun.
I think I'll put this on. I still use it. I think I'll put this on short band radio, and you can catch it at 880 AM, 880 megahertz AM channel. No, but no, this has been great, and this is thank everyone. Thank you. Thanks the audience. Like this, Wednesday sucked. Wednesday was awful, and I can guarantee that
today is not Wednesday.
Yeah, today is most definitely not Wednesday. And maybe I'll make like a clip of like awkward moments on top of like the awful donation sound that I had that I never watch my personal cast if you want to hear that. I think I'll eventually transition to like the Stack Twitch channel. I don't know. It's easier to do it from here because everything's building these stream packages suck, and it's obviously obvious with the performance of Wednesday. But thank you to everyone for coming back. Thank you guys for coming back and doing this all again and having faith in me to do it right and putting trust in me. I really do appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Yeah, this is awesome. This is a lot of fun.
And thank you, Andy. And I want to have you here for many, many more. It's just, then you get better at the back and forth because I did have you for a while and now you're back and I got to work that back into the routine. But I hope you continue to be here for many more episodes. You're always welcome here. Because I started with you, and eventually when this ends, I want you to be there. And thank you, audience. And I could keep going on and on. But does anyone have anything? I always say, does anyone have anything else to say before I do the outro?
And we're gonna go on for another 30 minutes.
Okay. So no more. So thank you for tuning in for the premiere, like the second premiere. I don't know how that works, but thank you all. Have a great night.
This moment is difficult to believe.